Freedom Seeker Randy Wilson here. And first and foremost, I want to welcome all of you who consider yourselves freedom seekers as well. I know you've probably found this video or my channel because you're looking just like I'm looking. We're looking for the true definition of freedom. Maybe we've discovered that, the typical American centric idea of freedom, whether we're talking economical, political, these kind of ideologies of that are centric to America, maybe it's just not enough. And we're looking for a broader perspective, something that speaks a little more to our soul. And thank goodness I found this gentleman here on YouTube. Thanks to my wife. She's the one that kind of said, hey, you should listen to this guy. And I started watching him and his videos and everything. And I said, oh my gosh, there it is. There's the definition of freedom that I've been looking for. And definitely something that speaks to my soul here. The idea that you don't have to stay in your country of origin. You can actually travel around, go where you're treated best, seek out different aspects of what makes you happy in different countries. I mean, this guy's really onto something. He's really onto something. And I think that, I really think that the kind of stuff that this guy's teaching is true wisdom. It's real wisdom, the kind of wisdom that we don't really see talked about in schools. Hope you guys can see this, but this is his YouTube channel, Nomad Capitalist. Andrew Henderson is his name. And just look at some of the topics that he talks about in his channel. Why be a nomad capitalist? And notice this goes back 3 years, 4 years. Some of these go back even more. And he posts like 1 to 2 videos a day about this topic. This topic here, being a nomad capitalist, has really captured me. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's really captured me and really helped me to see things in a totally different light. And I hope this is helping you guys as well. So with that being said, let's get into continuing our reading of Nomad Capitalist by Andrew Henderson. And we're still in chapter 1. Now, again, just let me just say, obviously it takes some time to read through these pages. I'm a slow reader, but, it looks like 4 or 5 pages is about the speed of our broadcast here, of our recording. So let's just go with that for now and just see how that plus commentary. So, this could take a little time, but hopefully you guys are buying the book. You can get the book by going to the description in the of this video, clicking the link there. You can get the book, have it delivered, read along with me, and maybe there's just things that come to your mind and things that you want to comment on, things that you want to discuss. So please do that. All right, let's get into this. This is page 10, about halfway down. Your top priority. As a nomad capitalist, you do not have to give up what is important to you to make improvements in your life. You just need to change the way you look at borders. More importantly, you have to decide that you are your top priority. This advice is by no means a license to be selfish. It is, however, an invitation to stop and take a moment to examine why you do what you do. Man, talk about gripping your soul. We are wired to be part of a tribe. There are many good things that come from this instinct. But it is our complacency with the tribes that have been chosen for us that causes us to go or stay where we are treated poorly. Even in the worst of cases, our sense of patriotism can cause us to stay where we are unwelcome. Man, if you look at what's going on in the US right now, all the different stuff that's going on, all the conflicts, all the ideologies that people are so to speak, dying on the hill for. Consider when the African nation of Rhodesia achieved independence a generation ago. The enormous victory was followed by a series of land reforms that that devolved from a fair process between willing buyers and sellers to outright confiscation of large farms from the white minority. Some of those farmers are still there in modern day Zimbabwe. They had years of advance notice, but for some reason they chose to stick around and watch their land get confiscated. And they continue to live under that system, fully knowing that it could all happen again. Think about that. What would compel farmers living in a country with such a storm brewing to stay and ride it out? It is an honest question that deserves an honest answer. Either they were and are blissfully ignorant of the imperfections and challenges around them, or they are willing to tolerate a great deal of injustice. You know, that Rhodesia and Zimbabwe example is definitely, a strong example, but there are many examples of people in different countries that have seen the wave coming. They've seen the trouble coming, and they decide to stick it out. And as a result of sticking it out, there are usually great losses, great tragedy, but for some reason they're compelled to stay where they are. I live here in America, okay? And I believe that based on the kinds of things that are going on in this country right now, I can see it coming. Economical, political, social things are coming because it's looking crazy out there. Okay. And so again, this whole concept, this whole topic speaks to me because I want to do something ahead of time. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm already behind the times here. If maybe this is a move that we should have made a long time ago, me and my family, but I definitely want to start the process now. If you missed out on it 5 years ago, then the next best time is now, right? All right. When Barack Obama was elected in 2008, some conservatives proclaimed that the new president would round up dissenters and put them into work camps. If I had thought that my future at home was pounding rocks into smaller rocks and foraging for food under the watchful eye of prison guards, I would not have stuck around and complained about the situation. I would have gotten in line for the next flight out. Can you imagine that? Some people claimed that that's what Barack Obama was going to do, and they stuck around anyways. Come on. If you really believe that something like that is going to happen, wouldn't you leave? Most of us do not think in such extremes, but if you have taken the time to read this of your own volition, chances are there's something you would like to improve in your life or business. You may feel that you are paying too much in taxes and would like to keep more of your hard-earned money. Or perhaps you sense there are better opportunities for entrepreneurial endeavors somewhere else. Maybe you just have a nagging uncertainty about your country. And I think that's me. Okay, just speaking frankly. When I started to see that there are surveillance cameras on every single street corner, I don't know why, but that makes me nervous. When I see the conflicts in society, social, race conflicts, all these kinds of things, political things, our government supporting certain things that just have obvious folly to it. And then I started to really worry at the banking system, the economy, the inflation. Something seems like it's, the dam is starting to have cracks in it, right? You can have any number of concerns that have made you look beyond your present borders. They may not seem like pressing concerns, but no one is going to get an offshore pang like they get a hunger pang. Yet there is something driving that concern, and it is important to listen to that to avoid becoming complacent because you are your top priority. Let me read this paragraph again because maybe I didn't read it, well, but there's a really strong point that he's making here. You could have any number of concerns that have made you look beyond your present borders. They may not seem like pressing concerns, but no one is going to get an offshore pang like they get a hunger pang. Yet, there is something driving that concern, and it is important to listen to that to avoid becoming complacent because you are your top priority. So, in other words, this might not be something that slaps you in the face. It might be something a little subtle, but don't ignore that. You should act on it, at least start to make some kind of acknowledgement of it and see where that goes. Open for business. The basis of going where you're treated best is diversification. If you rely entirely on one place, that one place can come and take your wealth, freedom, or whatever else they feel entitled to. It is the same reason wealthy Arabs have poured money into Istanbul real estate for years. While they may prefer living in Qatar, they know that they need other options. And of course, they want all those options to be Muslim and be within a reasonable distance by business class. Now that Turkey has had its fair share of challenges, the Arabs are turning elsewhere to countries like Georgia. And in true capitalist fashion, Turkey is attempting to lure them back with the carrot of Turkish citizenship if they invest. Competition at its finest. The problem with diversifying internationally is that some governments do not particularly like competition. However, some do. In fact, one of my leading indicators for whether a government seeks to compete for wealth and talent is whether they used to be uncompetitive. Some of the most business, wealth, and talent friendly countries on earth were communist hellholes in your lifetime. Years ago, I was traveling through Europe and enjoying dinner in a small town. Having the place to myself, I watched as a commercial welcoming investment. I watched as a commercial welcoming investment to the small country of Georgia played over and over. I think he's talking about like a commercial. A commercial. Okay, having the place to myself, I watched as a commercial welcoming investment to the small country of Georgia played over and over again. As a marketing guy and a capitalist to the core, there was something heartwarming about the idea of a country advertising itself to the public as if it were the sovereign equivalent of the Snuggie. Mikhail Saakashvili, the president of Georgia, then president of Georgia, took power after the 2003 Rose Revolution and was determined to turn the country into the next Singapore by ending corruption and taking a sledgehammer to taxes. He ultimately managed to flatten tax rates and reduce the number of taxes from 21 to just 6. What better way to get the word out, he figured, than to buy television airtime and broadcast the message that Georgia was open for business. Saakashvili was a visionary who realized that the world is an increasingly competitive marketplace for countries, and his needed to stand out. So, that's something you never really think about, is it? That countries compete. Countries actually compete for people to come and invest in their country. And they'll do things like offer citizenship or favorable tax environments or what have you. I never thought about that kind of thing at all. I just thought I was stuck here in the US paying the taxes that the US demands. And, I've never even thought about a country welcoming me to come and invest there and live there and offer me citizenship and whatnot. Is that something we feel that's happening in the US? Not really. Today, there is a stark contrast in the former Yugoslav and USSR republics of Eastern Europe. Some, like Belarus, have retained Soviet-era dysfunction, while those like Georgia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Romania, and Bulgaria have opened their arms to business. While I first realized the power of investing abroad in Western Europe, I soon realized that any country, even those you cannot find on a map, offers potential. I surmise that because Georgia remembers what life was like under the USSR, they have made a point to not go back. That is why just about anyone can open a bank account in Georgia. No questions asked. You cannot do that in the United Kingdom, where the government is more concerned about making rules than about ensuring its continued prosperity and capital inflows. Prosperity in the United Kingdom is taken as a given, whereas Georgia remembers a time when prosperity was far from guaranteed. Chances are that you grew up with the former notion that prosperity was a given, that your money would always be safe in the bank, and that your home was the biggest and best investment you will ever make. Once you had that stuff down, all you had to do was show up for work every day until they handed you a gold watch and you retired on a comfortable Social Security check. That is, until the whole world fell apart and you began to rethink everything. In a post-financial crisis era, you see people leaving the corporate world on a regular basis. More and more people are beginning to realize that it is not the way forward. Like Georgia, they remember the old way of doing things and they do not want to go back. People who think like that need countries that think on the same wavelength. While the West holds onto the rules and regulations of their old corporate economies, the Georgias of the world are forging new paths towards greater market freedom and are rethinking the formulas for prosperity in the 21st century. In the US, we kind of grow up thinking that, this nation is, the prosperous nation and there's so much opportunity here and all these kinds of things. Meanwhile, we are also stuck in this sort of corporate stronghold, this regulatory environment. It's difficult these days to prosper in America. Is this still the greatest nation? What makes it the greatest nation on earth? Is it because we have so many rules and regulations? When you start thinking about countries like Georgia or other burgeoning countries, you start thinking about how they are encompassing that which makes a country prosperous. Free market economies, lower taxes, and opportunities for people to come in and invest and take advantage of the environment that helps business to flourish. Is that what we feel in the US? I don't know. The connection. Most people give little, if any, thought to the biggest opportunities available in the global economy. But the opportunities are wide open. It is merely a matter of making the connection between forward-thinking entrepreneurs and investors and the countries that offer them exactly what they need to succeed. For instance, the trend of global outsourcing has become both a business trend and a political rally cry in our lifetimes. Companies like HP and Apple have lowered costs for everything from production to tech support by having workers in China and the Philippines do work formerly done in more expensive countries. Whether unpopular or controversial, outsourcing is not a new concept. At the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, quickly emerging nations often used outsourcing to cut costs and grow faster. After their revolution in 1868, the Japanese realized that their burgeoning industries required the help of experts to flourish, experts that were not available in Japan. So they summoned the people who did know to come to Japan and get everything set up properly. These on-site visits were more common 150 years ago because, the thing called the telephone did not exist yet. Today, outsourcing services can be provided remotely anywhere from call centers in Delhi to factories in Shantou. More importantly, access to the tools of international business is no longer an exclusive advantage of big business. It is available to anyone willing to take their business where it is treated best. For example, I sat down with Jake a while back to discuss the needs of his business working in affiliate marketing. He had been in the game for almost 10 years, making a steady 200 to 300,000 a year while living in San Diego. About 8 years in, he finally decided to outsource a lot of the grunt work of his business overseas. By the time he contacted me 2 years later, he was making $1 million a year. But now Jake had a bigger problem. Folks who earn more than 1 million a year are like shark bait to the California tax man. The Franchise Tax Board of California is perhaps the world's biggest bully. Jake's new success meant he would be sending a $500,000 check to California the following April. He never wanted to repeat that mistake again. $500,000 reinvested would go a long way in his pocket rather than the pockets of the state of California. Can you relate to any of this that I'm reading so far? Can you relate to what's going on about your business or your income being controlled by California, places of all places? So we got to work creating a plan to fully internationalize Jake's life and business. He had already learned to outsource his work to increase his revenue, but he needed to take advantage of every offshore tool available to him to achieve all the benefits of going where you're treated best. Jake told me that he loved the beach. So we found him a great location on the beaches of Southeast Asia where he could live for most of the year. He could spend part of his time visiting friends and attending industry events back in California, but would spend the rest of his year living on a beach that did not cost him $500,000 a year in taxes. From there, we got him an easy second residency in a zero tax country and moved his company from California to 2 offshore jurisdictions. He had a few one-time costs to move his business overseas, but once he paid that final bill, he was done forever. If he keeps things up, Jake will pocket an extra $1 million by the end of the second year, and an extra $7 million after reinvestment over the next decade. All of this was made possible because Jake was willing to pick and choose from each of the places that offered him exactly what he needed to improve each aspect of his life and business. Outsourcing to eliminate time-consuming grunt work, moving overseas to decrease his personal income taxes, offshoring his company to reduce business taxes, and so on. See, there's the answers right there, guys. That's what freedom is. He just defined it right there. Each component went to where it would get the best treatment. all while Jake was soaking up the sun and running his business as usual. Some will tell you that to be treated best, you must stay and fight. If you want lower taxes, just vote for the next candidate who promises to lower them. The democracy focused model misses the point that we are all individuals and want different things. What is good for your country might not be good for your wallet. That does not mean that you hate your country, but rather that you want what is best for you. If your internet business could grow 3 times as fast because it paid a lot less in taxes, or even more, or even none at all, waiting around for the next election is not only a pipe dream, it will cost you a lot of money. I often walk business owners through exactly how much they are paying in tax for every single day they wait, and the amount is often shocking to them. Besides, why wait for others to determine your business success when you have the power to change it for the better right now? This is what I do, and it is what I help the people I work with every month do as well. I help entrepreneurs like Jake who started a business doing coaching or e-commerce or whatever else in their home country and who have been successful, but only to a point. Let me start that over again. This is what I do, and it is what I help the people I work with every month do as well. I help entrepreneurs like Jake who started a business doing coaching or e-commerce or whatever else in their home country and who have been successful, but only to a point. They are reinvesting all their profits into their business, but end up passing on so many opportunities because they do not have enough to reinvest. Books like The 4-Hour Work Week and my friend Chris Ducker's Virtual Freedom opened many of our eyes to the idea that hiring virtual assistants in developing countries was a great way to keep costs low, or in some cases, cut costs completely, be more productive, and grow our business faster. However, this is just scratching the surface of all the options available to entrepreneurs willing to go global. Like Jake, entrepreneurs who hire an assistant in the Philippines or Romania or anywhere else are going where they are treated best to reduce the cost of labor for their business needs. In the same way, you can reduce your taxes and increase your returns by seeking international solutions. As Jake experienced, the increase in your profits by making a few simple tweaks to your business and lifestyle could yield millions of extra dollars in your pocket in the next few years. That is why when I say that I prefer flight over fight, I simply mean that I make decisions about where I live and do business through the objective lens of good financial management and not through the emotional lens of patriotic frenzy. You can love your country and still go where you're treated best. When it comes down to it, it is all a matter of mindset. The biggest example of the stay and fight mindset is the people who stockpile automatic weapons in the hills somewhere. Then stockpile automatic weapons in the hills somewhere. They will tell you that they are preparing for a doomsday scenario when FEMA camps and military force come to fruition. While they may plan to sit on their roof picking off Army Rangers one by one, I am sure the military could just as soon send in a helicopter and pick them off first. These people live by the notion that being a patriot loyal to their country and government is the most noble purpose and must be defended at all costs. They condemn guerrilla warriors in other countries, yet await the day when they can do the same in their country, all while there are places where their values are already in vogue. He's describing something that's been in my mind. I'm thinking I'm going to be using my firearms and surviving off my food when the zombie apocalypse comes. Okay, almost done. I live by a different motto. Fight for yourself Vote with your feet and go where you're treated best. You come first. You deserve the best. If things have come to the point that you are stocking guns and dehydrated food, chances are that the place where you live is not treating you best. As an Eagle Scout who is risk adverse and a believer in diversification, I can respect the desire to be prepared. However, at a certain point, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you in the right place for you? Similarly, if you if you have to call your accountant and dream up crazy loopholes to get your tax bill anywhere close to reasonable, you might also be fighting too hard and should consider a different way. Every once in a while, I hear from some hotshot business owner who is proud of himself for finding some brilliant plan to reduce his taxes, only to come to me and realize that his plan is not even legal. Why stay and fight the system that the wrong way when you can go somewhere else, get all the legal tax benefits of living abroad, and then sit back, relax, and enjoy without the stress, especially when those all too brilliant plans often save you a few percentage points, a drop in the bucket compared to the ocean of savings offshore. In the 1973 Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee is asked what his style of fighting is. My style, he explains, is the art of fighting without fighting. This perfectly sums up the nomad capitalist lifestyle. You may not like the system where you are from. You may feel you pay too much in taxes. You may not feel like you belong there and wish to live elsewhere or somewhere else. Whatever you feel, choosing to go where you are treated best is the art of fighting without fighting. Rather than wasting physical and mental energy trying to change the system, you can move on to greener pastures and keep more of your money. Feel more at home and enjoy life more than ever before, and all with more wealth than ever before. Whew, goodness gracious. All right, guys. Well, there's a little more to chapter 1, but man, that was a lot there, a lot of great stuff. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for the next reading, post. And hey, grab the book yourself and read along with me and kind of let me know how you're feeling about what you're reading here.